How many of you had travel delays? No? Only a few of you? Yeah, some of you. These are for me, but you should do them too. They're healthy. We all need to breathe. So it is really my pleasure to be able to put this conference on for the third year. And I'm always amazed that you put this idea out and you put these dates out and you reserve a hotel, and then miraculously the day comes and people actually show up. So it is really my pleasure that you are here, and really on behalf of the entire planning committee that meets every Friday for more than 6 months to make this a reality. I mean, I just have to say thank you to all of them from the bottom of my heart, and I'll have a chance to introduce some of them along the way. I also am so grateful for all of our presenters that we have, and so one of the lucky things I get to do is travel and meet people, and so when I get to do that, I get to see all these amazing presentations that when we make this happen, we get to bring them all to you. So that's also really, really fun. So let's dive in, because I have a lot to cover, as usual. So, the One Conference. And if you've been watching our YouTube channel, you've been watching our Instagram, we've been talking about these reasons why you should be here. So I want to make sure that if you missed all of that I fill you in, and so that you don't miss a thing. So, first off is location. This is California. We never have rain, so that's why we're here. And at least if you look outside, you can believe I'm not a liar. So location. And I hope that you'll agree that this is a beautiful place for just coming together. It's the right size for this group. It's the right size for us to be able to see each other in the hot tub and in the hallways, in the lobby, and that we know that the staff that are here are really committed to you and they understand why you are here, and they are very impressed by all of you. Education, I've already mentioned, top tier education that I hope you come away with lots of connections and inspiration, and then at the end, I hope celebration of what you do every day in your unit. And so when you go back, I want you to really appreciate yourself and what you do. So what is the One Conference? Felix, my goodness, that was like a symbol. What is the One Conference? And so probably most of you know this and I hope you know this as our mission and our mantra, but we really believe in that power of one. And at the first One Conference, we read that poem about the starfish. Are you all familiar with this starfish where this boy is walking along the beach and he sees all these stranded starfish and he's throwing them back? Oh my gosh, I'm getting so emotional about this story. It has to happen eventually, so let's just get it out of the way. And so he's throwing them back into the ocean, and the man comes by and watches him and says, "Why are you doing that? There's too many. There are too many starfish. You can't save them all." And he says, "But I saved that one." Right? And so when we believe in the power of one, when we believe in us, in our practice, in our impact, in our oneness, you can do amazing things. And so we believe that in one moment, for one baby, for that one brain, you make a difference. And that you make a difference in that one day, that one shift that you are with that baby, that family. You make a difference. Can you help everyone? No, but you help that one that day, right? And there's that old Zen Buddhist thing about, why me, why this, why now? Do you ever come to work and you're like, oh, this day. But why were you there that day? Why wasn't that your day off? You're there as part of that team that day because you matter and what you do matters. And so we want you to believe, although maybe you go back to a unit where these ideals are not embraced, where you are that lone nut. But we want you to know that for that baby, the things you do makes a difference. And that is really where the power of one comes from. And that's why the One Conference came to be. So, our intention is not to talk about the heart today, but it's to talk about your real heart. Why, again, going back to that one, why you do what you do. So we will fill your head with lots and lots and lots of good information, but we hope that also part of our intention is to fill your heart with what you do and why you do it. It's not enough to know, and we're going to do this on the last day, it's not enough to know. Mary Coughlin's going to say this, but you must do. right? I know I should not eat those tortilla chips when I was at the thing last night at the restaurant, but I do sometimes, right? So it's not enough to know, it's enough to do. And so we want to fill your heart and your head. And so I want to give a huge shout out to Jane Solomon. Where are you, Jane Solomon, and your team from Tampa? Oh, she's still working. So Jane Solomon is a nurse practitioner from Tampa. She's on our planning committee. And she wrote this amazing ebook for you. She shared it with me, and she's allowed me to share parts of it with you this morning. And so this came from her, so I in no way want to take credit for these next few slides and these next few ideas. These are all Jane, and I'm using them with her permission. So your heart and your head, but this is how Jane interpreted that. How will you apply your insights? You will have some aha moments. How will you then translate that into some inspiration towards action, and then integrating that with your intelligence? So I love this insight, inspiration, intel. Again, not enough to know, but to do, and to do it from the heart. So she read this book recently as part of her management training called Discovering Your True North. And I forgot to write the author's name, but I'm sure if you Google it, you'll find it. It's 140 executives that they interviewed, asking how do you grow companies and how do you grow profits? Right, because executives, that's their charge. That's what they're responsible for doing, is growing companies and profits. And the number one answer that they got time and time again was engage your customers, engage your employees, and help them, Jane just walked in, help them find meaning beyond the 9 to 5. So what I love what Jane wrote in her ebook was he should have just asked nurses, because this is what we know, right? This is what we live already. So what do nurses already know? Nurses already know when they enter the workforce, when they choose nursing as their profession, they have a clear vision of what they're going to do in the world, their meaning for their work. But do we lose this over time? Do we get distracted by staffing, by other things, right? But we know that the work we do goes far beyond profit, far beyond whether or not our hospital is thriving and the bottom line that some of our managers have to deal with. So then, if this is true, then why are nurses feeling unfulfilled in their work, feeling burnt out? Why are so many leaving, cynical, frustrated? Why are nurses leaving nursing? There's things going on, right? There are external factors, staffing, right? We can all do this, heavy assignments, depending on where you come from in the state and in the country or in the world. We have Patricia here. She's from Germany. Ask her about her staffing ratios at night, where she works in the NICU and the PICU. Here in California, we have the luxury of some great staffing guidelines and ratios. But that's not true everywhere. You go to many other places around the world, that is not true at all. Changing leaderships. How many of you have had a new leader in your institution? At least one this year, two already? It's only February 3rd now, right? Have you already had a change in leadership in your unit? Yeah, maybe. Difficult providers, challenging coworkers, and Mary Coughlin always talks about this. What do you call those? The Barbaras of the world. No offense, Barbara. No offense, Barbara, to right there, Barbara. Demands of the EMR. I actually think I can't go back into bedside nursing because of the EMR ever. I will have to hire someone to be with me 24/7 probably. And then the pressure to give high quality care despite everything, right? And patient satisfaction ruling everything and us having to do everything, right? And what are some of these internal factors? So we have all this external stuff. What are this internal? Without opportunities for autonomy, critical thinking, collaboration with providers, and time for wholeheartedness nursing care, we just lose our why. We lose our why we do this, why we do this work. We lose the soul of nursing. I know that there are some non-nurses in our group, and we love you. And so when I say nurse, please replace yourself and know that I mean anyone who cares for babies and families. So what is this heart of nursing? How do we, as nurses, continue to find this satisfaction in our work and not allow the corporate to eclipse this heart of what we have to offer, this being this one with this baby in that moment. So again, I go back to this, be one, be you, do what you can do, right? Like, do you. Don't worry about the rest, do you in that moment. And even if it's for just 5 minutes while you're changing that diaper, you do you. And then when you bring yourself up out of that care experience, then focus on the rest, right? And figure out how you're going to get lunch coverage and all of that. But for those moments with the baby and the family, try to take that breath and then to just be with that baby. So Jane, this is again from Jane's book, and she says, hope for the organization and culture change, if we can make change, exists within us first. If you do not believe that your unit can ever change, can ever do, if Barbara can't change, not you, Barbara. If you do not believe it, it will not be possible. So you have to go back and find that in you if you think it's ever going to happen. So with a little soul searching and a reminder that nursing is a call to service, we can do this. We can begin to shape the culture one action at a time. And so I'm so lucky that Jane and her team are going to end the conference with our great talk that we've titled One and Done, to inspire you to see what one unit did by coming to the one conference, and then a year later, what have they done? Because their unit is no different. They have challenges. They all have challenges. We all have challenges, but we can do it anyway. So Jane has created this amazing paradigm, and again, in her book, we're going to share it with you. But she has this idea around true north. And so we're going to ask you to potentially take some of this time in this beautiful location and kind of get back to your true north, right? So that north star, that shining star that can always guide us, right? So when the clouds clear, like last night, the clouds clear, and we have that guiding star for us. So if we don't have that in us for our practice of nursing, or whatever our discipline may be, if we don't have that, we will get lost when the clouds get in the way. So I love that Jane called it, combine your nurse with your north. You don't have to have all of this desire for what you're going to do in the world be something that you do outside of nursing. Let's see if we can find a way to fold pieces of that together, and hopefully we will. So to be satisfied and return to the joy of nursing, we have to discover our true north, and then we combine this nurse with our north. So can you find it here while you're at the one conference, even if it's just a glimpse of it, that you know that it still exists? Then you can go back and you can try to find it later. So we have these 3 ideas for you: participation, pause, and pros. And so for some of you, this might be getting a little too touchy-feely, right? Where's the AEG, and where's the brain cooling, and where's all that? But just bear with me, I promise. So participation. So start with just a willingness to be open to learning new ideas, hearing different ways that things have been happening in other places, and just be willing to connect. So one of those 5 things I said about being at the one conference is connection. Connection is so important. We did offer live streaming for people who couldn't make it here, kind of last minute decision to do that. But in as much as we, all of you out in live stream world, we love you and we're so glad you're here, it's not the same, and they know it, as being here. We're doing our best with the app and other things to help that connection happen, but it's not the same as like standing next to somebody in the lunch line, right? And meeting someone at the coffee. So we want you to connect when you're here and continue that connection through our online communities through the year as well. Pause. Take a minute to just stop and think. Why do you still do this? What do you want to do? And so from the last few conferences, we've always said, what's your one thing from the one conference? Right? We can't do everything, but we can at least do one thing. So pick that one thing. Don't get overwhelmed with all these great ideas, right? But take it one at a time. And this is going to take just some reflection, like what do you think really floats your boat? And pros, write it down. If you just let it swirl around in your head and you never really write it down and make a plan, it's never going to happen. So this is really important to write it down, and so we'll have you do some of this as well. All right, so the first thing, and if you have your notes, just to kind of take off to the side, this is the first thing I want you to do. I want you to start with prose, which is just writing something down. So, you can do it now, or you can write the question down and reflect later if you feel like you might be too long-winded right now. But I want you to remember why you chose nursing. Right? We live in an age when you can do anything. So why nursing? Some of you, you're digging back a long time. And some of you might not even remember. I don't know, my dad told me that's what I should do, so I don't know, he signed me up for nursing school, and that's that. My grandma was a nurse, my sister was a nurse. That's just what girls in my family did, right? I don't know what your reasons are, but that's actually true of my family. Why'd you choose nursing? And why'd you choose NICU? So think about that for just 1 sec. Can I have a time check? Michelle? Did y'all write down one thing? Now I'm going to call on you. No, just kidding. I hate when people do that. Be reflective. Now read it out loud. This is not therapy. All right. And the other thing that I want you to think about is, why do you stay? There are lots of jobs for nurses doing lots of different things. So why do you stay in nursing? Why do you stay in the NICU? Why do you stay in your unit? With all its warts and all its issues, why do you stay there? You trade your time with them. Why do you stay there? And there are lots of reasons why we do that, but be really clear about your why. Oops. So, no matter what has changed since those days when you decided to become a nurse, when you decided to be a NICU nurse or therapist or physician, that why inside you is buried and is deep under all the muck. It's still there. It's unchanged. And we just have to kind of remind ourselves from time to time, because this work is hard. This work is not easy. And not for some of the staffing and the administrative stuff, the paperwork, the EMR. Our job is hard. Right? It's life, it's death, it's beginnings, it's endings. It's hard work, what we do. So you have to stay anchored in that, because what we do is beyond a job. It's what we do is our service to the world and to these families and to these babies. So I hope that you're okay with taking just this little pause to kind of think about, yes, we're going to fill your head. That I promise. And tomorrow afternoon, you're going to say, yes, my head is full, very full. Tomorrow is a very long day. But I want you to leave here really inspired, to really appreciate what you do, that power that you hold as that one. Oops, I don't know. So, Jane, thank you for these 3 words, these insights, this inspiration, this intel. I love how that came together. And thank you, all of you, for taking time. Whether you're just here for today, whether you're just live streaming, taking time to be here is important. And you made time to do this. And so I honor that. And I hope that with everything that we've created, that you feel that, and that you really know how deeply, deeply honored that you are that you're spending these days with us, as many as you can. So, are you ready? So, I think the first year I made you say, I am one, but I won't do that today. But you can chant it if you want, and you can hashtag it, or you can do whatever you want. So Mark, I'm switching in case it's for you.